Hi guys, Julia here from JM2 Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with a ship with me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend. Such a random weekend of sales. There is like no rhyme or reason. I did notice that a lot of stores had some fairly big sales. It wasn't a holiday weekend or anything like that, so I'm not quite sure what's going on, but we moved a lot of really random stuff. So like, let's take a look at what is selling, at least from my store this weekend. But if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. It is late in the afternoon. I decided to be like ambitious and try to film 2 videos today because it's gonna be close to 100 degrees the next couple days. And I just trying to get this done while it's, merely 92. So with all that being said, guys, I'm running late. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipment. So the first piece we have there is this adorable dress. So this is from ASOS. Thank you guys so much for like confirming how the proper way to say this. This is a brand that I don't pick up. I see an awful lot of it, but I just could not leave this cute little dress behind. I just thought it was really pretty. It feels very luxe. I knew it was not going to be a big sale dollar-wise, but just the pattern on it was so fun and funky. It's a little bit groovy. It's just going to be one of those pieces that looks, again, a lot more expensive than it actually is. And truly, as with anything with this much fabric, nearly impossible to fold, at least in a way that looks tidy. That's about as good as we're gonna get. But like, look at this pattern. How stinking cute is that? This is something I could easily see being worn for like a beach wedding. It's got that very breezy, blousey silhouette. It's funny, ASOS is just not a brand that ever like pops into my head. Again, I see it a lot. I go right past it almost always. But this just kind of stopped me in my tracks. But I had this listed for about 3 weeks, and I'll tell you, I had a lot of interest in it. So I'm really interested to hear if you guys do any ASOS at all. If you do, let me know if A, you pick up ASOS at all, and B, if you do, which pieces do you pick up? Because this was a decent sale, and it had so much interest. And I don't know if it had to do with the keywords or if it was just like the dress, but either way, I had it listed for $32. I sent an offer for $28, which was accepted. So that's a great sale for a bins pickup. With the $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $20.40. And this is a sale over on Poshmark. And again, it took about 3 weeks to sell. Either way, super happy that I grabbed it, super happy that I'm getting it onto somebody else. And I hope she absolutely loves it. I really just think that that is so cute. Next up were these cute pants. Now these were from a boutique called Russ Barons. This was a boutique, I think they were up in Malibu. And they were pretty high end. They were in like the kind of login look, lots of linens, lots of breezy silhouettes. And I've had some success with their pieces. I mean, I just don't think that this is a brand you're gonna see too terribly much of outside of the LA area. But these were kind of a question mark. I was not sure how these were gonna sell. These feel a little bit more like of a time than other pieces that I've picked up from Russ Barons, but they must just have like a little bit of a cult following because the pieces are gorgeous and the linen is top notch. But again, it's one of those things that I think that they only sold it in the one boutique. I don't think that they sold to other boutiques. I certainly had never heard of it before I moved here. I do think that this was just only that little store. Some of the more significant pieces, the more like distinctly login look pieces, 100% something that I would consider paying up for in the regular thrift. But something like this is purely a bins play for me. And I had it listed for $24 and I got an offer for $19, which I did accept. With a $2 cost, this brought me to a profit of $15.63. And this is a sale actually over on Depop. And this is like a brand that I would never anticipate selling on Depop. I think in general, the Russ Barons customer is a little bit more mature and Depop tends to skew a little bit younger, but like I said, Depop is putting a lot of money and a lot of effort into growing its buyer base, so that could be shifting, so we're gonna be watching that. But I had these listed for about 9 months, and I'm just really happy to be getting them to a new home, so I hope she absolutely loves them. Hope she lives in them this summer because that linen is gorgeous. Next up, a brand I want you forever to be keeping your eyes out for. This is 3J Workshop. This is a Johnny Was sub-brand, and a lot of the pieces look just like this. Really breezy. They almost look like they're business style shirts. They're very gauzy. They're very like lightweight, so much more casual, but they have that kind of like blue and white striped look. And then they have the kind of signature Johnny Was style heavy embroidery on the front. This is like a little bit more down market from Johnny Was, still a very expensive brand. I don't know if they're still producing under this label, but on the secondhand market, the 3J pieces, depending on size and color and condition and all of that, they're generally selling between like 40 and like 70 bucks. And this is going to one of you guys, so that makes me happy. But if you're somebody who likes the look of Johnny Was embroidery and you maybe don't like the tunic vibe or like the kimono vibe that is very like signature with the mainline Johnny Was, check out brands like Pete and Greta, check out brands like 3J Workshop, where you're gonna get that same like craftsmanship, you're gonna get that same like eye to detail, but it's gonna be in kind of a different like vibe. But this I had listed for $64 and I had it listed for about a week and a half. Had so much interest in it in that week and a half, as anything from Johnny Was always has. But I got an offer for $50, which I gladly accepted. And with a $7 cost at the thrift store, this brought me to a profit of $40.69. And this, of course, was a sale over on Depop. So I hope you absolutely love this shirt. It is so gorgeous. I just love these kind of pieces that are like very casual, very easy to wear, but like so special. And I think that's what Johnny Was does so, so well. Next up, we've got this fun piece. Now this is from Jam's World. And this is such an interesting brand. They've been around forever. And the thing about Jam's World is that a lot of the patterns are collectible. Like they'll be retired and people are kind of completionists and they want this style dress, they want this style shirt, they want the other style dress. And certain older patterns will go for kind of crazy prices. Even the newer patterns, this is, I think, one of their newer patterns. I think this is called Midnight Forest, Hibiscus Forest. I believe this is one of their newer patterns. They may or may not still be making it, but even still, these are selling for a pretty good price. Jam's World is expensive. It is a very, very expensive brand for what it is. You know, the dresses are rayon. They're super cute. They're perfect for like resort wear. But some of the prices I've seen some of these pieces going for rayon is wild to me. Either way, it's definitely a brand to keep your eyes out. Like as a kid, I remember Jams, and I never knew that this was a brand name. We just called these like shorts that were really brightly printed Jams. Let me know if you guys remember this, if you were kids in the 80s. But I had no idea that it was a branded name. And I remember going to like the fabric store with my mom and picking out our print, and she would make the Jams for us. I remember distinctly a pair, I don't know if it was me or my brother that had it, but they had like little volcanoes on it. Anyway, the things that stick in your mind, I swear. But either way, I had this listed for about 3 months, had a lot of interest in it. It was a pretty small size, but still anything Jam's World is always gonna get a lot of eyeballs on it because there are so many collectors. And I had it listed for $50 and I got an offer for $40, which I did accept. And with a $4.50 cost at the thrift store, this brought me to a profit of $30 even. And this was a sale over on eBay. And I had this listed again for about 3 months. So I hope she loves it. I hope this is completing her collection, you know? But either way, cute little dress. But either way, like that was like a midi length dress with a ruffle at the bottom with a little bit of a leg slit. So much fun to wear. Next up, I've got a 3-piece bundle, and this one I know is also going to one of you guys. And the first piece you grabbed was this amazing Y2K vintage Joe's Jeans cropped jacket. This is obviously brand new with tags, and there are like a lot of tags on this. So I guess this was sold at Macy's, but it's, again, you know, brand new old stock. So when you have something like this, that is brand new old stock, you want to use a couple different keywords. Obviously, you want to use, you know, brand new with tags. You want to use vintage. You also want to use new old stock, NOS, which is an abbreviation for new old stock. And you also want to use dead stock. These are all terms that vintage seekers use to find brand new vintage pieces. But this was an exciting thing to find. Like Joe's Jeans was kind of a thing for me when I was in college. That was my designer jean brand of choice. I was never, as much as I wanted to be a 7 for All Mankind girl, I was Joe's all the way. The next piece she picked up was this cute silk Anthropology blouse. The first thing I thought of when I saw this blouse was that Wedgwood Jasper wear, that blue dinner wear with the white flowers. Super, super collectible. And that was immediately what I thought of when I saw this. And this is in obviously fantastic condition. I think fairly new too. I think that this is only like a year or two old. And you know it's from Anthropologie, so it was expensive as heck. But just the cutest little blouse. It really is so cute. And then the final piece you picked up was this Alex Crane linen polo shirt. Alex Crane is a brand I want you to keep your eyes out for, 100%. It's very, very expensive. I want to say that these polo shirts are like $150, maybe $180. They're so expensive, but this is the label. It's pretty unassuming. But I feel like if you're watching my videos, you will notice the fabric. This is just like the lightest weight linen jersey. So delicious. And this is obviously a pretty insignificant piece from Alex Crane. They have like sweatshirts. The sweatshirts can go resale very high. Some of the pieces will go into the hundreds. Like it's that level expensive. And this is just the kind of thing that will get better with wear, as anything linen does. But this came through, this was a bundle sale over on Depop. And I'll tell you, I'm still trying to figure out the bundle process. I know that they just recently updated it. It looks like a buyer can send you multiple offers, and as long as they check out together or they put them all in their cart together, it'll get bundled together and sent on one shipping label, because obviously, like especially with Depop, their shipping can get pretty expensive. So you want to make sure that we're able to save the money for our buyers when we can. So if you are a buyer, because I've never bought a bundle from Depop, I've only sold bundles to Depop. So if you've bought a bundle from somebody on Depop recently, like since whatever their new update was, let us know what the process was on your side. I'll continue to dig, but I haven't been able to find anything online. I guess it's just so new. So if you've had that experience, let us know, just so we can help educate our buyers and hopefully make more bundle sales. I love the fact that Depop is allowing this now, because those individual shipping charges were a real concern, you know? But either way, the bundle sale popped through at $75.74 for all three pieces. I was trying to piece this together on my side. I think that the total original cost was like $116 on these, and the bundle sale came through at $75.74, which of course I accepted. And altogether, this was a $9 cost between the bins and the thrift, and that brought me to a profit of $63.46. And this was a sale over on Depop. And one of the pieces I had listed for 2 weeks, one of the pieces I had listed for about a month, and then the other piece, the Joe's Jeans, was for about 6 months. So I hope you absolutely love these. Some fun pieces. Honestly, that Anthropologie silk shirt is just gorgeous. All right, next up, we've got this fun thing. I actually bought this for a friend of mine, but he told me on no uncertain terms that it is too garish for him. You can't tell. I don't know if this is showing up on camera, but this is like highlighter yellow. Either way, this is Y2K vintage, Big Pony Ralph Lauren. At least I'm almost positive it's Y2K vintage, going by the tag and all that. Also the colors. Feels very Y2K. But these are the kind of things that I never mind picking up. I shop all the time for my friends, and when I pick things up for myself or for my friends, usually my goal is that if I'm kind of grabbing it without anybody trying it on or without anybody's blessing, so it's got to be something that I know that if they don't want, or if it doesn't fit, or if it doesn't work for them, that I can sell it. Anything polo, never, ever gonna be a problem to sell. This is just one of those brands that I feel it's so ubiquitous. Like we see it everywhere, but we often forget how unbelievably expensive it is. I was in Spain a couple months ago with my girlfriends and we lost our luggage. It's the whole thing, still dealing with it. Do not get me started. But my goodness, don't fly Vueling if you have a choice, because what a mess that airline is. But we basically had to run around and find like pajamas and things to wear the next day. And we had 1 hour in a big department store in Spain. And I grabbed a pair of polo pajamas because I knew my size in polo. And I remember getting to the checkout and they were like $150 for like a short pajama set. Forget how expensive polo is. So it's one of those things that like for the most part, for the run-of-the-mill stuff, you're gonna get like 20 bucks for a polo, more or less. But there are certain Ralph Lauren pieces, like the bear sweaters right now, any of like the American flag sweaters right now, hundreds. You will get hundreds of dollars. So if that is a brand you don't pick up while you're outsourcing, I strongly recommend that you reconsider that strategy. But either way, I had this listed for just 1 week. Again, this is like my experience with anything I've ever had from polo, with very rare exceptions. And I will say the men's stuff does tend to sell faster than the women's. And I think that that goes back to men really shopping secondhand the same way that they shop at a mall. They don't want to browse. They don't want to like look at the styles. They know their size in polo. They know what they like in polo. They find that piece in polo and they buy it. But either way, had it listed for $32, had it listed for just 1 week, got an offer for $30, which I gladly accepted. With a $3.50 cost at the thrift store, this brought me to a profit of $24.76. And this is a sale over on Depop. So I hope he absolutely loves it. I think it's a really fun color combo, but knowing my friend and thinking about that now, he probably never would have worn purple and highlighter yellow. It makes sense. Next up, this is the kind of thing that I will pick up from pretty much any brand. This is from Nordstrom. Doesn't really matter who it is. It is 100% silk and it's a classic style pajama top. I tore the bins apart looking for the other half of this. No such luck. I think a lot of times when things get to the bins, they're kind of separated. If the store itself isn't hanging them together, they're gonna get separated into a pair of pants and a shirt. And I feel like it's 50-50 in terms of what I see thrift shops around here doing. Some of them are pretty diligent with keeping sets together. Some of them are definitively not. So either way, this is in beautiful condition and the most beautiful royal blue color. And you best believe if this was my size, it would be staying with me because this is my blue and I live for a great pajama. Honestly, I would probably wear this as a regular shirt because why not? But these are the kind of things that are reliable, fast sellers. Like every time I've ever had one, they have sold very, very quickly and from no-name brands, you know, as long as they're silk. Not polyester satin, not viscose, some things in viscose satin, but real silk, slam dunk every time. Do check condition. I find in particular in pajama tops, because people kind of sleep in all different kinds of positions, if there's pulling, like they might not rip, but there might be pulling under the arms. That's typically where I see the most damage on things like that. And that definitely doesn't preclude it from selling. I've sold silk pajama tops with that kind of damage before for decent prices. Just make sure you're looking for it and you note it. But this I had listed for about a month and I had it listed at $40. I typically get between like $25 and $40, depending on the brand, depending on condition, size, all that kind of stuff. Knowing that certain pajama brands can go significantly higher than that. But this one I had listed for $40. I got an offer for $30, which I gladly accepted. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $23.50. And this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope she loves it. I mean, who doesn't love silk pajamas? If you have never had silk pajamas, may I suggest you treat yourself. Even if you don't sleep in them and you just kind of wear them around the house on like a lounge day, there is nothing like it. Next up, speaking of silk, this is a vintage like camp shirt from a brand called Anna and Frank. And I've had quite a few pieces from Anna and Frank. I think that they were like a higher end casual or sportswear brand back in the day. I don't think that they're still around, but this is the label. And I've had so many pieces from them and they've all sold pretty similarly. I don't know if they have a following, like I don't know if people know Anna and Frank. I don't know if it's selling because of the brand or if it's just because their pieces are like really classic silk pieces. In my experience, it could be either or. Maybe it's just that like I tend to find a lot of Anna and Frank, so that's why I'm having that experience. But let me know if you've ever found it before and have had the same thing. They're not necessarily the fastest sellers, but they tend to sell for a pretty decent price for such simple shirts. And I'll take that. And when I say they're not the fastest sellers, I don't mean that they're gonna sit around for a year. Typically they go between like 1 and like 4 months, which is in the grand scheme of things, not altogether that long, especially when you're dealing with vintage. But I had this listed for about 3 months, just under, and I had it listed at $36, which is typically what I'll list an Anna and Frank silk blouse for, with some exceptions for style. And it popped through as a full price sale. So who doesn't love that? But with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $28.16. And this was a sale over on eBay. So hope she loves it. I will be picking up Anna and Frank vintage silk shirts anytime I see them, and I recommend you do the same. But if you've had the same experience, like, let us know. Next up, now this is a brand I'm always on the lookout for, although this piece in particular is probably something that I would not have messed with in like the regular thrift, but this is Marine Layer. And their whole thing is they do these very soft kind of loungewear pieces. You know, this is a terry cloth pair of shorts. They make sweatshirts, stuff like that. Lots of like gauze pieces as well. And they all sell quite well. This is one of those brands that kind of, I don't know if they even have like brick and mortar stores at all, but they're one of those brands that really did a good job of online advertising. And And that's a little tip that I give to everybody. Like when you are scrolling, when you are looking at Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, pay attention to the ads that you're seeing. Now, obviously your ads are gonna be tailored to you, which I know freaks people out, but as somebody who used to like tailor that, I can assure you that at least from the advertiser standpoint, we're just making sure that we're only advertising to people who are more likely to be into our stuff. But pay attention to the brands that you're seeing, because in digital marketing, it's all about getting the amount of impressions on your eyes. You know, obviously the ideal situation is that you see an ad, you like what you see and you buy it, right? Like that's the perfect situation. But the reality is not too many sales go through in that sense, in that way. So what we're aiming for is to get enough impressions on your eyes to show you enough ads so that you recognize the brand, you remember the brand and kind of what it stands for. And then at that point, it's in your decision funnel in terms of like what kind of stuff you're looking to buy. So if you are seeing an ad a lot that's kind of following you aggressively, and it wasn't necessarily something that you interacted with, so like, you know, maybe you clicked on a marine layer shirt and all of a sudden you're being followed by an ad for that, that's one thing. But if it's something that like you never interacted with and this brand is all of a sudden popping up on your feed, that means that that advertiser is putting a lot of money into advertising to get into your feed, right? So when you have that high amount of ad spend going, you are going to have a higher amount of demand. And when you have a higher amount of demand, that means that demand on the secondhand market is also going to be higher. So just pay attention when you are scrolling at what ads you are seeing, in particular the ads that you are seeing that come from a brand that you have never interacted with. Anyway, had this listed for $28 for about 5 months, found it like right at the beginning of winter, so not super surprised that these weren't selling until now, but they popped through as a full price sale. Another one, super happy about that. And with a $2 cost, this brought me to a profit of $20.40, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. So hope she loves it. And good on Marine Layer for the success that they have had with that advertising campaign. I know I have a piece of Marine Layer that I absolutely love, actually 2. And one of them I bought on the secondhand market. And then finally, this was a nice sale to wake up to. This is a pair of mother jeans. And I'll tell you, I've had these for a while. And I think that there were a couple reasons that I had them for as long as I did. First and foremost, they're white. Secondly, they are distressed. They have literally the name of this style is the Flirt Chew. So they've got like a chewed hem and they also have holes in the knees. They're also a pretty small size. Not a huge deal, but definitely a couple different things kind of working against them to make them a slower mover. I mean, they're still mother jeans. Like we're still picking those up and we're still holding on to them. They retail for like $300. But by far, this has been my slowest moving pair. And I think it's because of all those different factors. I just think that people that wear white jeans are very bold. I mean, there's a reason you rarely see me wearing it. And it's not because it's not good on camera. That is a thing. But like, if you see me out and about, I'm very rarely wearing anything white. Because you know that the second I put on a white t-shirt, that match is going right down the front, you know? I have these moments where I'm like, oh, I want to wear this white t-shirt on like a long day where I'm going to be out and about and like driving around. And I'm like, what happens when I spill something down my front and I don't have a backup shirt, you know, to change into? Anyway, I admire your chutzpah. But either way, I've had these for over a year. I think I've had them for like a year and 5 months, which is abnormally long, like I said, for mother. But I had them listed at $98 and they popped through as a full price sale. So I'll take it. Would I buy them again? Yes, I would. But with a $1 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $77.40. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. And I hope she absolutely loves them. She literally just sent me a message saying, hey, do you think I'll get them by next Saturday? Because she is headed off on spring break. So I hope she loves them and I hope she has the most amazing spring break. And I wish I could live vicariously through her. But that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. Thank you so much for hanging with me while I literally get my work done. It is always so nice to have somebody to yak with. But as I mentioned, I am running late. It is 450 degrees in this room and I got to get these things into my car and off to the post office. So guys, if you had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. All of that helps me out so much with YouTube. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting. And I will see you all in the next one.